good Western films nowadays really are a dime a dozen, and outstanding Westerns have almost become extinct, which is a bit of a shame considering it's one of my favourite genres. Now, there are a few directors who have given us masterpieces of the genre in recent memory. Two of those people are the Coen brothers. When you watch True Grit, you feel so immersed in the time period and the setting, but I find it's also a bit of a dark commentary on the violent and sometimes terrifying nature of the time period. No Country for Old Men completely ditches the fun and enjoyable nature of the genre, giving birth to a whole new subgenre of the literal modern western, which would give us films like Hell or High Water. And of course, Buster Scruggs is a complete over-the-top satire of the genre. So really none of these films bear a resemblance to the classic westerns of old. You also got Jim Jarmusch's Dead Man, which was released just before the turn of the century. It's an offbeat buddy western, but ultimately feels more like a Jim Jarmusch film than an actual western. Another really good one would be Slow West, a really unique take on the genre with some really quirky moments and absolutely stunning cinematography. But I feel it also fails to capture the genre's true essence. The Sisters Brothers is pretty exciting, but there are barely any stunning wide shots and it's pretty confusing at times. And the assassination of Jesse James is gorgeous, but unfortunately, you do have to stay awake to see Deakins' great work. Weirdly enough, I would actually say the commonly frowned upon 2013 Lone Ranger and Gore Verbinski's other overlooked western Rango are actually the closest to capturing the essence of the genre, with creative set pieces, stunning photography, and a great sense of atmosphere. However, I don't think anyone gets this genre and has more successfully honoured classic westerns while bringing his own modern sensibilities to it, like Quentin Tarantino. His westerns have the adventurous feel of a John Ford film, the uniquely relaxed atmosphere of a Howard Hawks film, and the straight-up badassery of a Leone film. Both Django Unchained and The Hateful Eight have a more timeless quality about them. Although a close examination of these films will reveal a somewhat satirical edge, both films shamelessly bask in the fun, the campy, and the charm of the old western that we just don't really see anymore, while also injecting some of that modern flavour without overpowering the nostalgic atmosphere it's so masterfully created. I will say that Django Unchained does feel more like a complete western, simply because The Hateful Eight is built around the central mystery and more focused on the characters and the single location, whereas Django has a higher sense of adventure and in my opinion feels more like a complete and definitive modern western, for three major reasons that I will be breaking down in this video. Not only is Django Unchained one of the best looking films of the decade, Robert Richardson's cinematography is absolutely perfect for the style of the film. Like all Tarantino films, there are moments in which the visuals go a bit over the top and get very heavily stylized, but Richardson's approach really puts you in the world. There's a nice amount of static shots with naturalistic lighting and some really classical compositions. The I've Got a Name sequence especially feels like a perfect romanticizing of the genre, but this more traditional style is balanced with crazy crash zooms and slow motion, really allowing the situations to feel heightened, which is a great segue into the next topic. The most modern aspect of Django Unchained is without a doubt the soundtrack. Now, just like the visuals, there's a good amount of old and new. There are some classic Morricone pieces and also stuff like this. Now, I don't think Tarantino just puts these songs in there because he likes them. They do work within the context of the scene and the story. Each of these modern songs helps to elevate and in some cases exaggerate the nature of the scene. Where visuals tell you what you need to know, the music tells you what you should be feeling, or at the very least offer a suggestion. Tarantino's very blatant use of modern songs allows him to convey the essence of the scene in a very efficient but also stylish way. He's not afraid to mess with the audience expectations and deliver a western that pays homage to the classics, but also to take it in new and exciting directions. Now, we all know that Tarantino's films have a tone like no other. I mean, when he makes you laugh in a World War II movie, you know you're in for something different. Tarantino's philosophy as a filmmaker has always been clear. He wants the audience to be entertained, to enjoy what they're seeing, and so the over-the-top violence and fast-paced editing, along with some iconic, hilarious lines, allow us to sit back and enjoy. So many westerns nowadays either take themselves way too seriously to the point of boredom, or are way too indie and art house that you don't really get what's going on. Tarantino is one of the few who walk that line perfectly. There's enough serious stuff for us to be invested in the characters on an emotional level, but the movie also makes us smile. There's a playful edge to it that sets it apart, and the film's ability to hold on to both the dramatic and comical aspects of the story and the characters is very impressive. Let me remind you that some of the greatest westerns in history aren't all doom and gloom. Yes, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly has some heavy scenes, so does Once Upon a Time in the West, and The Searchers, and Butch Cassidy, but all of them know to have fun. Aside from the occasional what's the most you ever lost in a coin toss or first time, Django Unchained and The Hateful Eight are really the only modern westerns with lines of dialogue that are even remotely close to being on the same level as stuff like this.
Looks like we're shy of one horse.
You brought too many.
Boom. You looking for this?
So to conclude, the reason I think Tarantino has made the perfect modern western with Django Unchained is because there's this undeniably perfect balance of classic style filmmaking which we rarely get nowadays, along with a beautiful and even romantic appreciation for the genre. That alone makes for a pretty perfect western. But what makes it a perfect modern western is that it incorporates things that we are familiar with and perhaps weren't expecting, giving the film a bit more of a vibrant side without ever stripping it of its nostalgic roots. A truly perfect balance.